Welcome to another episode of the Well Life Podcast, where we connect with individuals across what we have determined to be the 8 dimensions of wellness.
Today we have on Nick Valenti. He's a strength and conditioning coach and a dietitian. He's also working with us here at 8Well to build some awesome packages and also help us out coaching on the floor. Thanks for coming on, Nick.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Obviously excited to have you here, but excited to have you also just a part of the business. You're really going to bridge a gap for us between the physical services that we've been able to provide from a strength training standpoint, and now bridge that real service that we can provide from a nutrition standpoint. So I think it's very much so needed. We've been kind of going through different iterations of what that looks like from a dietitian standpoint and being able to create packages around that. So I think this is the next level of service for us. Excited you're here, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm stoked. Like, when I started reaching out to you guys like months ago, I knew that this was a place I wanted to be. I saw that what you guys were doing is something I wanted to be a part of, and like to be able to come here and really branch out and start to develop like myself as the aspiring dietitian and the strength and conditioning coach, learning under you too, and like continuing to grow and be able to practice. I really appreciate the opportunity, and like I'm excited to get going.
Yeah, man, we're ready to grow. Let's keep going. Let's help as many people as we can. So give a little breakdown, kind of a view how'd you get here?
Okay.
Right. What's your story?
So I grew up in West Islip. I did my undergrad in nutrition and dietetics at Queens College. I played ball there during undergrad. Bounced around, like was starting to do econ and finance. Finally fell in love with nutrition and understanding what dietetics is. After Queens, I decided to go down to Florida State and get my master's in sports nutrition. Down at Florida State, to become a dietitian, you have to go through clinical hours in a dietetic rotation. So how that usually looks is like 1,200 supervised hours, from food service to clinical in a hospital to what your specialty wants to be. And for me, it was sports. So I was able to learn from some great people. I was able to work with Florida State's athletic department. I got to work all over with them, from their football team, softball, volleyball. I was able to be there and learn from the dietitians they have on staff. Spent some time in South Shore University Hospital, where I got to work on the clinical aspect. It was nice to be home and working with them. And then for my final rotation, I worked with Toronto Blue Jays with the minor league side. And now I'm in the process of that last step to take my dietetic exam to become a registered dietitian in New York State. And that's where I'm at, and here we go.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, dude. It was cool when we had talked, and where I was like kind of picking to see where you were coming from, kind of when we had our first conversations a couple months back, because obviously I've known you not for as long as my brother had known you, right, growing up playing baseball together, but it was cool to see the experience that you started to come from, and I was like, oh wow, like that's real, and felt to me really awesome to be able to get a hold of somebody that is fresh out and wants to hustle and is a hustler, right, by genetic trait of just who you are, how well you can talk to people, and where your mindset is at most of the time, right? So it's pretty rare from the dietetic side to see that. Yeah. But cool opportunity, right, to kind of work together with
I would love to hear, I don't know, I think that when you think about the nutrition side of even like fitness, healthcare, it feels like it's not mostly male.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a that's like a misperception that I have. Yeah. But like, how do you end up in that field? Like, how'd that spark? I know you're an ex-athlete. Love to hear how that transitioned to not kind of staying on the weights, the strength side, but kind of getting into healthcare, but on the dietetic side.
So, like we talked about before, like I said, I was started in econ and finance, and like when I was playing ball, my first year I busted out my ankle. Second year I busted out my arm. So I wasn't spending a lot of time playing ball, and at the time my cousins had the supplement store. So I was spending a lot of time.
Shout out to Mission Nutrition.
Yes, the coach brought us together.
Chris and Ant.
But when I was there, I was meeting all these people and like just talking to everybody and understanding like how everybody was thinking and going about their life. I was trying to figure out a way to monetize that. And when I started looking into what Queens College had to offer, I saw dietetics, and I had no idea what a dietitian was. I didn't have one in my school growing up. I didn't know that was a field. The field of dietetics is huge. Like I said before, you could be a dietitian in the hospital in the ICU helping with tube feeds or working with specific disease states on managing intake. You could be a dietitian with the Toronto Blue Jays, like working on getting the most out of their athletes and performance, or you could be working for PepsiCo, developing like recipes and overlooking major companies on what they use and develop for food science. And when I saw this field and how vastly open it was, I said, this is something I wanted to pursue, and I felt like no matter where I fell in those schemes, that it was something that was interesting to me and an area where I knew I could be successful and to make an impact with others.
Let's take it back. What does the young Nick Valenti look like to kind of come out of that, becoming so interested in dietetics, health, wellness, right? You're an athlete, but all of us being former athletes, trying to work on our bodies, trying to figure out what is what. What does that look like for you in the span of, you think, right, caused you almost to take that route for yourself?
It was a lot of like always working with my friends in the gym. Like the gym was where I felt like I spent the most of my time and where I was able to hang out with my friends all day. So like when you're on the field, you're out there competing, but like when you're in the gym, it's more of like a family environment. You're working out every day, and like at the time I was spending hours of my day learning about supplements, and like all my friends would reach out to me all the time, like what should I be taking, what should I be doing, and I would be giving them tips and traits like back and forth. And after a while, I was like, I think this is something that I can just continue to do and grow with. And I started reaching out to more and more people, and I started working with other athletes. And I remember there was a kid I worked with years ago. I was probably like a sophomore in college, and I worked with him for a couple of years when he was in high school. He was a ball player, and he called me up and he was like, I just committed to college, like thank you so much. And I was just like, this is it. Like that feeling I got from like helping that kid achieve his goal was something I was like, this is great, and I can do this for the rest of my life. And like that was what really kicked me into the field. And whether it's an athlete like reaching their goals, or like somebody that's been struggling with cholesterol, somebody that's struggling with blood pressure, like getting them to understand that the longevity of their life and they could be around their families longer or just have better quality, like those are wins. And I felt like if I was going to do something every day, like I wanted to have some sort of impact.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a obviously very important field, as I think we talk about this a lot, but individuals make a lot of nutrition choices that aren't even kind of thought about, right? There's over hundreds of nutrition choices, like where am I going to eat, how much, what place am I ordering, am I cooking at home, what plate am I going to use, right? All these happen, and like you had just mentioned, you'd never had a dietitian before, right? So there is this kind of connection of, all right, well, there is a profession out there that can help you with all the things if you have issues in that field. What we do see a lot in kind of the fitness, health and wellness space is the nutritionist. Can you give a little breakdown of kind of how you feel and what that difference is between being a nutritionist and being a dietitian?
So the biggest thing is the requirements to earn those titles. So for a nutritionist, can be somebody that feels that they've just read enough online, or they've had success themselves. They can say, hey, I'm a nutritionist, and there's no true requirements. Like there's credentials and certifications you could take online, and a lot of them do make major impacts on people. But the big difference is being a dietitian, it's a protected title. You have to receive a bachelor's degree in nutrition and dietetics. Then you have to continue to take a master's degree in a specific field that falls under the dietetics umbrella. Then you have to do that dietetic internship, is what I was saying before. With that ability, it gives you the ability to talk about medical nutrition therapy. Medical nutrition therapy is making specific meal plans for cholesterol, diabetes, renal diets. They teach you how to basically manage medications and disease states. It's a little bit more clinical and medical, but it's just that overall encompassing education that's required to call yourself that. Like you would be a protected title for a physical therapist or an MD or something like that.
I think that's a big part, kind of the conversation of what we're even trying to be able to provide here, because I think we both have had the opportunity to, you could extend any PT certification and do something that's in nutrition, and we've probably had hundreds of people ask us for for a meal plan, right? But
Yeah.
I think what separates us and like why we also come from a common ground is that I've never made a meal plan for someone.
Yeah.
Right. I talk about nutrition extensively because it's just a part of what you're going to do as a trainer. But I never get deep on it because I'll draw the line at where I am an expert.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I think it's important to bring in kind of skilled people and people that that fall into that profession and allow those people to do the work.
Yeah, and like you're saying, like both of you guys, this has been your life. Like you obviously have a great understanding of nutrition and how to get the most out of yourselves. And like speaking to other people, especially that come into the gym all day, like you obviously can shed light on what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying like no one shouldn't do that. Like everyone should push each other to be better. But there's certain lines that we really shouldn't cross and have some professionals look at. And that's some of those disease states. And the ability to understand and like draw those lines is important.
Yeah, and for us, it's, I think, on one end, right, like you said, drawing the line, but like yesterday, right, write me a meal plan, I'll do this, get me through this. I'm like, listen, like this is what I'm good at on my side.
Yeah.
We brought Nick in for a reason, right? That's the bridge that we wanted to create. He has a system. Yeah. I don't want to be involved in that system. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're good at what you're good at. You have the experience that you got and that you're going to continue to get. Obviously, we branch and bridge and have conversations daily, right? But it's how do we deploy that as a whole separate side of something that can really grow, right? And I think that was the biggest part of the vision, to bridge it to our existing clientele and future clientele and say, how do we create these products and these tiers and really give people a chance and a one-stop shop that gives them access to all different profiles of nutrition, supplements, meals, right? Access to you, shoot you a quick text if they can, right? Us on the fitness side and create and curate that entire kind of ecosystem of tiered packages, right? To be able to like look at the individual and say, well, what are the holes, right? If you're training for 3 hours a week, that's all we have you in here for.
Yep.
What are the other 100 plus whatever hours in the week, right? And how do we change those and affect those and then actually get you to see that on paper that there's something that's wrong, or there's 5 things that could be changed, 2 things that could be optimized, maybe from blood work, from something else, right? And then that's the bridge there. So
yeah, like that's the value that you want to be able to create for people to actually make a real change in their life.
Yeah.
Like so for us, to be able to have a fitness studio where people I think are doing very good training, but now being able to help on the other 23 hours of their life, and from someone that could actually give them clinical experience, right, if it needs to go there, or something that's just very in depth, or right, someone that's trained on that end, as opposed to me drawing up something that I just believe could be good for them because, right, obviously I think I know a lot, but
and you do,
and but it's something that worked for me, but I didn't go to I didn't educate myself deep enough in that field to actually do that, right? So now we can outsource that part and bring in way more value. And I think that's the most important thing that we're trying to do here.
Yeah, I like the biggest thing for me moving forward here is like I've been having a lot of people come up and grab me for a minute or two and like asking me what my package looks like. And we spoke extensively of like what that stems and grows into, but like the biggest thing that I think holds value is just the education portion.
Yep.
Because like people put a lot of value in, they pay a lot of money to work out, you know? They spend a lot of money in their bodies, they do all these tests, they go to all these places to be better, get better. And they game plan their workouts every day. They're like, I'm going Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to go take an ice bath, I'm going to wake up early and go for a run. But at the same time, like, they're not mapping out their daily day. Like, they're not mapping out where I'm going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I think it's just a major hole, not just here, but in general. And I think people should try to really put a little bit more emphasis on spending, hey, this is what is going to make me perform better, grow better, lose weight, is putting some more emphasis on just mapping out your day, your week, your month. And I think that's going to increase performance here, their body type, or whatever their goals are. And if there's one thing I can get across and just talking to the people here and talking to you guys, is that's A1 is education, and then just put a little bit more emphasis on this is important. This is what you put in your body every day, and that's what's going to end up making or breaking whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've seen a wide array of people that you've worked with, right? From obviously the clinical side to the athletic side. Any experiences that you've gone through that you've seen dramatic change or changes in people from based on the dietetics work they're going through, and you probably have a couple stories there if it's clinical versus kind of being able to optimize someone through from the sports side.
The biggest thing and the biggest change that I've seen is some of the education that lacks from kids coming through high school, and if their parents aren't really into health and fitness, they go off to college and they don't know how to cook. They don't know what to put on their plate. They don't know how to build it. They don't know what carbs do, what fats do, what proteins do. And they struggle. And they struggle in their 20s and they're still young and moving around, so it's not an issue. But then it starts to become an issue when you get a little bit older. And I think some of the kids that I've grabbed at 16, 17, and 18 have learned, and when they leave me, and that's the big goal of mine, is for them to be, when they're done working with me, that they can go on and do this for the rest of their lives. What I'm selling is not a diet, it's education for you to never need me again. And the younger, the easier, the more impact I've seen, to simply answer your question. And I think at the older age it's still obtainable, but it's a little bit harder to teach an old dog new tricks. You know?
Exactly.
So that's what I would say was the biggest changes I've seen.
It's really interesting seeing the discrepancy between your experience level with, we've talked you got biomechanical and force plate driven analytics, right? That's being spit out on the professional sports end or college sports end. And then you have the general person just trying to perform and work out and move.
Yeah.
Right. But in your take and in our take too, they're both performance driven athletes. They should be considering themselves as an athlete, right? You should be going and getting enough sleep, enough nutrition, enough everything, and lining up the day. That was going to be a question I was going to ask before, was what you nailed right on the head with what do you think is missing with lining up your plan, because we preach it so much within Eat Well and talk about how can you reach the full individual, but it falls off a lot, and that's why we have you here. What are some interesting things that you've seen being in pro ball and being kind of on both sides of it?
Just the extreme dedication for change.
Yeah.
Obviously these guys are the 1% of the 1% on just athletic capabilities, but I mean there are some times where let's say an athlete in college where you need to put on 5 pounds in this time frame, and that's the kid's number one priority. There's nothing else that matters to him. What he puts in his body is almost religiously, everything he tracks, manages. And when I was in college, I was if this is dedication you don't see from a normal person, this is what makes them special. And I get to pro ball, and it's the same dedication, but now you have unlimited capabilities. You have chefs, you have supplements at the ready, you have smoothies, proteins, people waiting on your beck and call to just assist you. And it's incredible just to see group of individuals on a mission for one thing. And every day I would go and I would just be in awe of some of these guys and what they put themselves through. And specifically when I'm working with some of the minor league guys when I was there for spring training, they're there 8-10 hours a day. Then they take a bus back to their hotel. They sleep and then they come right back.
Yeah.
It is it's like Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
You're there doing the same exact thing every single day. That would break down a normal person.
Yeah.
And these guys would come back stronger and stronger every day. And that was just something that just kept me in awe, is just the determination and drive.
Yeah, that's the consistency. Put the head down and do the work.
Yeah. No, and that was if I could take away anything for my personal growth, is sometimes you just have to put your blinders on and say, this is what I want to do, this is what I want my life to be, and just drive towards that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point of just what you guys are providing for these athletes, right? Is these processes that they have in place. So okay, I know I'm gotta go sleep in the hotel, right? A minor leaguer. If my goal is to make it to the majors, I gotta put my head down and work, but I need the things around me to support me.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good point for even just the common person as well. Is if you're just trying to get to this goal, right? You got to make everything around you as easy as possible,
Yeah,
right?
simplify
As
it.
accessible, like the good things have to be accessible. Your calendar has to be set, right? Your workout set, your whatever it is, your workout, your walk, your food has to be prepped, right? So you don't have to kind of venture out and go find these other things, right? That's how you kind of lead to this optimized state.
Yeah, and that's where I'm trying to close that gap.
Yeah.
I'm here to simplify how do we build good habits? How do we take away the stress of you prepping your meals? How do we take away the stress of you in the car with your kids all day and you don't have time to cook and you want to go pick something up because it's the only thing you could do, and it's late at night and you have fast food? How do you handle those situations? How do we mentally prepare for the whole week? And everybody's going to be different, and there's never going to be a perfect answer. But having a support system to talk about it and go through it is very, very beneficial. And that's what I'm aiming to do here. And I'm going to be that support system with you guys, like going day in and day out, that this is our jobs. We're here to assist them in bettering theirs. And that's what the goal is.
So being that, I wanted to kind of lead into give someone what a first 15 to 30 minute sit down looks like. What's something that somebody can expect? And some ways that you use your tools to initiate someone on their kind of push with you.
So usually how it goes is we'll start with either like a face-to-face for like 5-10 minutes or phone call. And it's basically just building rapport, getting an understanding of where they are, who they're from, what their family situation's like, what their goals are, and if there's any medical conditions we have to worry about. Once that's established and we get them sitting down for a nice session, first session's usually around like 45 minutes. It's really, once that's background's there, we establish what they want goal-wise. And then it's basically the next 30 minutes of how are we going to game plan this goal, whether it's bringing food companies in to take care of their food, whether it's just educating on what macronutrients are and having them pick better choices, or it's a full vamp of, Nick, take it all. I will get this and do whatever you say for the first few weeks. I just want to get my head back and I just want to get in shape. I just want to get to a better position to develop. But right now I just need to take all stress off my plate. And that's what the first 45 minutes is. It's a lot of education and it's a lot of just understanding what the goals are and what we want to be. I've seen, like specifically here, is a lot of the people are very, very open to receiving education, and a lot of people feel like they have some sort of understanding of what calories are, what macronutrients are, and how to build a plate, but it's never fully complete. And it's tough because like a lot of this stuff people are reading online is a lot of like hoopla or just like BS.
Puts them in a box or like a niche kind of.
And they feel like they have to minimize what they can eat.
Yeah.
And that is not a good way to do it. You should still enjoy what you're eating, and you should still be able to do what you want. It's all about how we were talking about before, just game planning it. Like you can game plan almost anything. You know, it's just how much time you can put into it to make sure that it's right.
Yeah, this guy's got one of our clients eating chicken wings lined up for this Friday, right, ready to go.
Burgers.
A couple other things, so it's real. You know?
I think that's a good way to talk about kind of what your process is and your thought process around food and nutrition and what people should be, kind of how they should be building their plan for nutrition. Because I've heard you kind of say a couple times, and we had a little conversation earlier while we were out, some people working out, training, but about like, no, you're not going to tell someone, oh, your plan is just whole foods, right? Like obviously we talk about those things and good things, but you were like, no, it's deeper than that, right? It's more about what you're gonna, like what are you gonna eat? How do we build a plan around what you like and the things that you're actually going to be susceptible to?
At the end of the day, you want to make something that's achievable.
Yeah.
And of course, like if we could be preparing 3 meals a day from the best supermarkets, the best types of food, the highest quality, like that's great. If you
that's
could do
why
that,
you consider pizza a whole food.
Yeah.
We love pizza. Shout out, we love pizza. But yeah, we want it to be obtainable, and we want it to be something they can do for the rest of their lives. Like it's not what we can cut back; it's how we can work stuff in. And for them to understand what a complete day looks like and what a generally well-rounded diet looks like, and then just getting there as close as we can and making sure that we don't sway too far off the path and we don't limit what they're doing. We still want them to be happy, we want them to be consistent, and we want them to be able to do it forever.
Yeah. It's a good, like we talked about this, I think it was yesterday, but about how the goals, those play an impact on kind of what your plate's going to be, or what your nutrition plan is going to be. Like we talked about the Kansas City Chiefs and how many Uncrustables they order.
Yeah.
Right. And like it's just that like you're not thinking about this as a healthy food, but love to hear like what's your perspective right on that.
Yeah, like that was a funny tip. Like the Kansas City Chiefs were eating like tens of thousands of Uncrustables like during the season, and people were like, "Are Uncrustables a secret to performance?" And it's just like, no, it's a really good source of carbs, and the guys are working out all day. Like for them, that
burning
works.
through.
Yeah. Like for a little kid struggling with his weight that wants to be great on his football team, maybe it's like a couple of Uncrustables a day is not what he needs, and like everybody's different, you know, and that's what we're here to talk about. Like those first couple of meetings are like, what do you want? What are your goals? And if you're healthy and medically clean, like what do you want to do? And like, what's your life going to be? And it's not going to be solely focused around food, but we want you to be healthy, strong, and a good individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while we're here, right, how's that feel for you when you're having that conversation?
To be honest, it's like the most fun I have. I love sitting down. I love chopping it up. I love the counseling aspect. And I think that's what really like kept me in the dietetics field, is getting someone to like that epiphany of like, oh my God, this is what I can do. Like this is going to make me feel better. Like this is working. Like when someone gives me like a first phone call, it's like, after that talk, I feel motivated. I feel great. Like that pumps me up.
I'm gonna
like,
fix this.
Yeah,
I'm gonna help them.
not like fix it,
yeah,
but like, you know,
help. Yeah. Like
just,
I'm gonna.
It's that like coach mentality, like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm a very competitive person. Like I take everything as like a challenge. Like this is my challenge. I'm here to get you towards your goal. And in that 30 minutes or 45 minutes, like I'm fighting tooth and nail to get you to what you want to do, because I'm trying to win.
Yeah.
And like that's how I view it. And that's fun for me.
That's an interesting take. That's a cool take on just like people need to live their life that way. Mm-hmm. Right? They wake up and roll over, and granted, if you're just working the same thing, doing the same thing, it's monotonous, it's boring. Yeah, you're just doing it for the salary or whatever, but that's real. That's how can you find those sparks within your day and just kind of, even here, right? Every hour
provide
is
meaning
different
for
every
yourself.
day, but just like sparking it, passion for that individual person, for that individual hour, every day for yourself, you know? And then like seeing that person get to where they never thought they could be, or get to where they never thought they could be doing it the way that they never thought they'd be able to do it, right? You have to eat chicken and rice 24/7 to be able to attain. It's like, no, you know, like, that's cool. What to you, this is kind of a question we roll everybody into to kind of pull the whole scope and narrow it down. What does wellness mean to you? If you hear the term wellness, we talk about 8 dimensions of wellness, all encompassing, right? What's your definition of wellness if you were to pull up to somebody?
Healthy and happy.
Yeah.
Healthy and happy. If you tell me that you don't work out every day, you're as healthy as a horse, and that's good enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you tell me that you want to be Mr. Olympia and like you won't be happy until you get there, like that's healthy for you. You know what I mean? Like there are some people that I think steer off a little bit and that go to the extremes, but like if you're healthy and happy, like hats off to you. Like that's what everybody aims to be, and like in my general opinion of wellness, like simplified, that's what it would be.
Cool.
Okay. Well, that I think that fits very well with what we're trying to achieve here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Where can people find you?
At 8well.
In the back.
Nowhere else. Where can people find you social? I mean, you have your social media.
So my Instagram is Valenti, VALENTI _Nick. And then here at 8well. And that's when I decided like where I wanted to like really start to develop my practice. Like I wanted to get in front of a lot of great people. And I know we spoke at the beginning of, I spent a lot of time specializing like in performance and athletes, and I wanted to make sure that I had some aspect here because of you guys, and like I wanted to make sure that I was around good people and motivated people. And we don't have professional baseball players walking in the door yet, but like eventually, like I would love to start pulling in like some of those high-end athletes. But right now it's been like a challenge for me to go back into like more of the gen pop population. And like I've had some talks with you guys like on the gym floor of like I have like older women, I have younger kids that aren't athletes, and like getting them to make changes has been a fun challenge for me. And it's something I haven't really focused on yet. So find me here. I'll be in the back. Me and
Yeah,
OC
yeah.
will be holding it down if these
Yes,
guys aren't
yes,
here.
yes.
They're forced to be here 14 hours a day. So. But no, we appreciate that.
Yeah,
I love that take. I love that perspective. Appreciate having you here, and
Yeah, excited about what we're going to build and
Yeah.
be able to offer people for the time to come, right? That's it. Just be able to offer more services, more value, get good people to be able to experience more people, right? That's it.
And if you guys want to get in touch, you could shoot us a message on any platform that you're listening to this on. You can also email us at team@8welllife.com. Send us an email, and we'll funnel it through, and we can get you to Nick.
Hopefully I'll see you soon.
Yes. Appreciate you listening.